Okay, let's go. So we're up to Hilchas Tzitzis Siman Chof Aleph, Siman 21. It's a very important Siman. What do you do with Tzitzis after they've worn, they've broken? Important and a very practical, relevant Siman. Says the Mechaber in Sif Aleph. Chutei Tzitzis shenifseku, the strings of the Tzitzis which snap off, Yochel Zarkan la'ashba. You're allowed to throw them out to the rubbish, to the garbage. Because it's a mitzvah which has not, it's got inherent kedusha. Says the Mishnah Berurah, it's true with any tashmish mitzvah. Kagain sukkah v'lulav v'shofar v'chol ki agavna la'achas shenisbatlu v'einam oimdim oid mitzvason. They've got these tashmishe mitzvah yachal yizrik. You're allowed to throw them out la'ashba. We'll see in a minute. The Ramah will see exactly you can't do derech bizayin, and we'll see more details. Avol kol zman shehem kavuim betalas also lishtamish b'hem. But whilst they're still in the talis, you can't use them. Kagoin liksha bohem shum davach yotzev to use them as a string or something mishum bizui mitzvah. So you can throw them away, you can discard them, but there shouldn't be bizu mitzvah. We'll come to that, putting them in the sefer and things like that. Says the Ramah, v'yesh omrim, even after they've snapped, you shouldn't treat them with any bizarre, with any disgrace. To throw them in a disgusting place. If there's all terrible things in the rubbish, to throw them out, that would not be appropriate. The point is, says the Ramah, you don't need to put them in the shemus. You don't put them in gniza. And there are those people who are careful to put them into gniza. And someone who is makbid and is medaktik in mitzvahs, tovei olav bracha. Says Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton base, we're up to shenifseku. Or you actually took them off the talis. Lav dafka, they snapped off. And so too, even if you bought them and you haven't yet put them onto the beged, the hazmona lav milsehi, because designating tzitzis is not considered significant, and therefore you're allowed to throw them away. La ashba, says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Cotton Gimel, avol also lasos bohem tashmish meguna, but you can't use a tashmish meguna, a disgraceful usage. So legar tzitzis metalis l'kabel, because it's no worse than the talis which we're going to talk about. Kavuim betalis Sif Cotton Dalet. Even if you're not wearing the talis now, even at night time, since it's omed levisha, it's there to be worn. For lotzes tzitzis is there mitzvah tzitzis to discharge your mitzvah tzitzis. For chen shofar, and so too shofar, nami, and so too an old lulav. Even if you're going to use your lulav for next year, also lishtamish boin mishum bizu mitzvah for ein bebir halacha. Okay, Sif Cotton hey lishtamish bohen. This is going on the mechaber that it's also lishtamish bohen. Uva tzitzis lo mahani tanai ba'omer eni boidel mehem. To say that tanai of eni boidel mehem, which we talk about in Hilchos Sukkah with the schach etc., doesn't help. Kamei betofresh lamet ches Sif beis mishum to bizu mitzvah, because using it in this disgraceful manner is not allowed. The tzitzis are korchach behechach l'shem mitzvah isa. They're made for tzitzis, for the mitzvah. The mevorach olein lis atef. Take a look at number 2 in the interesting note. What about the talis bag? The talis bag, has that also got the same halacha? So says the Dirshu note, "Ulagabe tik shel talis kosav lekaman shu nechshav letashmish mitzvah umutul oniach b'shad dvarim shel chol." It's considered the tashmish of a mitzvah, not of a kedusha, and therefore you could put other items in your talis bag. Interesting. Okay, Sif Cotton Vov, ein linhag bohen, v'chein b'schach hasukah v'lulav, v'shofar v'lachas nisbatl mitzvason ein lezarkan la'ashba. You shouldn't just throw them away in the regular rubbish heap. V'chol ki haigavna dova she'ena covered l'mitzvah she'avra, not to do it in a respectful way. Because of prima godim d'nochen shlelas tashmish muguna afilu b'defonis hasukah, not to use anything in a disgraceful way. Let's look at note 3 and 4 in the Dirshu. Interesting things. What about the atzei haschach? To throw the schach in the street where people are going to walk and trample over it, that's wrong. Even if it's a place which ain't ashba. I think there's a famous story with the Chasam Sofer that there were 2 bachrim who came back from the yeshiva. Sorry, they came to apply to the Chasam Sofer's yeshiva, and it was in the beginning of winter's month, and it was the schach was still lying around on the floor, and one boy went round it, and one boy just walked over it. And the boy that walked around it, he accepted to the yeshiva. The person who walked over the schach, on the schach, he said, I can't. Someone who's got no sensitivity for the kedusha of a mitzvah, he says, I don't want you in my yeshiva. So it's that. Take a look at Dirshu Note 4. What a very interesting question. Imagine you use wax candles for your Shabbos candles, and some wax drips off. So the drippings of the wax, the hardened drippings of the wax, has that got any kedusha? So take a look at footnote 4. Over Inyan Shaiva Shehane Tefes Meneres HaShabbos, Das Hagon Rosh Zaman Orach, Shemutel Zarka B'motzei Shabbos La'ashba. That you can just take off and throw it away. Lefisha B'ner Atzma in Kedusha Klal. There's no inherent kedusha in the candle itself. It's just you shouldn't get any benefit. You shouldn't stumble over eitzim avonim. That's what the purpose of the Shabbos candles. The proof is you can do other things tashmish shechol neged the ner Shabbos. It's not like ner Chanukah. Okay, let's finish off the Mishnah Berurah. Sifkot and Zayin lezarkon. So this is going on the Ramah. The Ramah says that okay, you don't have to put them in Geniza, but you shouldn't put them. You shouldn't be zorik them b'makom maguna. Rotzulema biyodayim osel zarkan la'ashba. Don't throw them into the regular rubbish heap. But if it happens, then you don't have to overly worried, because the actual basic halach is that you're allowed to put the lizrik on the ashba. Legainzon kosav ma'aril dianiach hasitzis b'toich sefer. You put the tzitzis in a sefer. That seems to be the minhag of the Shem the Maharil. We'll see an interesting footnote on that. Or to use them for any other mitzvah. You can burn them with your lulav or whatever it is. Since you've already done one mitzvah, then you should do it for another mitzvah. So take a look at the second paragraph in footnote 5. A very interesting halacha. When you go down, we bend down, we do Vanachim Korim on Rosh Hashanah and on Yom Kippur. Are you allowed, if you haven't got a bag or a mat or something to be a chatzitza between you and the floor, are you allowed to use your talis? So he says here, the second paragraph of paragraph footnote 5, you're not allowed to bow down on a stone floor. You can even use the talis. I suppose that's considered a mitzvah, and therefore that would be okay. Now, this business about putting tzitzis in a sefer, right? So look at footnote 6, very interesting. For dafka ba'ifan zeh, where you're going to use the tzitzis as a mark. I use these post-it notes, right? But so if you want to use tzitzis as a mark, that's a mitzvah, so you know where you're up to. It saves time. Shemalo is on the tashmish mitzvah. But if you just put it there for storage purposes, that's a nonsense. You're just utilizing the sefer instead of a shemus box. So it's very interesting. I've always wondered about that. So to take the tzitzis which are snapped off and put it in a sefer, very nice, but only if you're using it as a bookmark. Stump to keep it there forever, that's shtus, he says. Very interesting. Okay, so let's carry on. Sif base. Talisa shel mitzvah shebolu. So the bottom line is that when it's tzitzis that snap and and you're allowed lizrek ba'ashba. However, you should use it in a mokum which is respectful. So, for example, your lulav or your schach, etc., to put it in the green recycling bin, where it's here in London, where you take that and that's a special collection for that. That would be appropriate. That's okay. But to put it in with the regular rubbish, that would be inappropriate. And so to tzitzis as well. As long as it's mikadin, so long as it's not in a disgraceful manner, that would be okay. Okay, halacha based. Talisa shel mitzvah shebolu. Worn tzitzis. Yeah, you need time to get a new pair of tzitzis. Adam boidel atzma mehem ve'ena mutar lakanech atzma bohem. You can't use it for a disgraceful manner to wipe them, to use it as a shmatter or to something like that, or as a towel. V'lo liyachid is on the tashmish hamaguna. Elazarkan v'hem kolim. You can throw them away, put them in the recycling or something like that. That would be okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Shebalu, I'm a prima godim shekos of the talis shal mitzvah shenifskus yosef lo yasem men mechlasayim. You've got an old beged to make them into a t-shirt or to a pair of trousers. That would not be okay. Du bichlal tashmish maguna, using them for an item of clothing is a tashmish maguna. Va'afilu metalis cotton also, even for a talis cotton, that would still be also. Ve'ena muta kein tzorech lema lekaneach rotzulema afilu lekaneach atit me'al raglo, to use them as a towel to wipe off the dirt from your shoes. That would be something which is maguna. Hamaguna, aval she'ena maguna shari. But to use the tzitzis, the beged, for something which is not maguna, that's okay. Yeah, the beged of the talis or of the tzitzis cotton. Avoid the tzitzis olav. However, if the tzitzis are still on them, to use them for something which is maguna, in rishai l'shtamish b'talis tashmish she'ena maguna, something which is not maguna, are you allowed to use the beged when the tzitzis are still attached onto the beged? To use the beged for something which is eina maguna, it's machlekas. Das oilas tomid deshari. The oilas tomid said it's okay. Dafka b'sitzis oisa mechaber, because dafka the sitzis, which is a problem, but the beged will be okay. Ulahataz ois asa, but the taz says it's asa. V'chein hiskim a prima godim v'kosav the talis shel tefillah, and that so says the prima godim. And he adds that the talis shel tefillah hamiyuchad lekach chomer hatalis k'ma sitzis, a talis which is designated always for use for tefillah, which I suppose ours are, then that is going to be more strict, and that's got the same status of the tzitzis. Avatalis cotton pshita deshar lechol tashmish she'ena maguna, that would be okay for a tashmish which is not maguna. Afilu ba'od hasitzis olav, even if the tzitzis are on it, to halavish hedget to for a shayla shkach b'layla or b'samach, and you can use them to wear at night time, etc. If you look at note number 7, what about using the tzitzis to wipe off some sweat, the beged? You know, you're sweaty a little bit. So he says, l'nagev es also betalis cotton, to wipe away the sweat with your talis cotton. Das Chazon Ish Chaim Kanievsky, b'daita shezeh bichlal tashmish she'ena maguna. That's okay. It's considered the normal function of a beged. And look at the next one, very interesting. Are you allowed to clean your glasses with your talis? Something which, I must be honest, I do. Yeah, so let's look at this. I think there's good news here. Don't worry. In Nikui HaMishkafayim b'talis cotton, cleaning your glasses, kosav hagana b'yashav shemuta. It's allowed. Kivin shederech b'odem lasis kein gam b'beged choshev. You know, you would use your shirt to clean your glasses, so use your talis as well. He would use it at the time of davening, he would do it as well. However, we're going to Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and Shlomo says it's also l'nakas mishkafayim b'im talis cotton, b'im talis cotton. He says not. So Rabbi Yashav says yes, and Rabbi Shlomo Zalman would say no. Okay, good. Sif cotton yud gimel. Let's just finish off base. Zorkan rotzulem el ashbot, to the garbage. Va'afilu yesh oimeh hanal also bezis gufa mashem demoid bezeh. He would agree that would not be appropriate. Okay, gimel. Mutzer likones b'sitzis lebeis hakiseh. You're allowed to go into the bathroom with sitzis on. V'kol shekei nishkav bohen desharin. Certainly to lie down with your sitzis on is okay. V'yesh shekosfu shenagu shelo lishkav b'talis sheyesh b'sitzis. Not to sleep and lie down in a talis which has got sitzis. Gam shelo dinner lekovis en Yehudim. Furthermore, not to give it to a non-Jewish dry cleaner. Because otherwise because it shouldn't be the mitzvah, it's a bozui, a disgraceful on you. But we are makel to lie down in them. Says the Mishnah Berurah, when can you go into a bathroom with your tzitzis, dafka your talis cotton that you're wearing under your shirt the whole day? The talis that we wear for davening, it's not appropriate to go into a bathroom with them, and that's why but mikadin, to be mashtin, to go to urinate in them, is allowed. And so too, you're wearing a kittel on Rosh Hashanah Kippur. You should take that off. Because that is designated for tefillah. Take a look at a couple of interesting notes. Number 10. And by the way, look at number 8. Very interesting. When it says going into the bathroom is allowed with the talis cotton with your tzitzis onto your shirt, what if you wear your tzitzis over your shirt? Yeah, so he says number 8, even if you wear your talis cotton over your shirt, then he says, you're allowed to go into the bathroom even for that. Is dafka the talis gadol we were worried about. Look at number 10. Ach bishvil shehishtim. Kosev lekamon she'ein tzorech leposhtei. V'nechleku ha'achronim b'biadaito. Why is it that the achronim debate what exactly the issue is? Hakafa Chaim Kosev she'em tzorech rak lahashtin mutar likonis lebeis hakisei. That if you just need to urinate, you're allowed to go into the beis hakisei. Again, we're talking about a kittel. Yeah, so the kittel, if you just need to go into urinate, it says the Kaf HaChaim, you're allowed to keep the kittel on. V'chein posek haMateh Ephraim. Mateh Ephraim is the famous classic work on Hilchas Yom Neroim. Me'idach b'sefer zeh hashulchan Kosev b'das haMishnah Berurah she'os likonis lebeis hakisei kovua. What the Mishnah Berurah means is that you can't go into a beis hakisei kovua with your kittel. There are bathrooms which are designated for the Beis HaKisei. Even if you don't defecate there. And when the Mishnah Berurah says you're allowed to, further on in Siman Tofresh Yud, if you're somewhere outside, you're not in the Beis HaKisei. So basically there's a difference of opinion about wearing a kittel in the bathroom. Although the Mishnah Berurah here says Sorech Livshet, there seems to be different opinions about it. I think the minhag olam is to take it off before you go into the bathroom. Let's just finish off. Sifkot and Tesvov, Shelo Lishkav. For Kisvei Arizal Kosev Shal Pi Hasoyet Sheyesh Lishkav B'Layla B'Talis Cotton, that one should wear a talis at night time. Okay, we discussed that. Lekovis En Yehudi. Can you give your talis to a non-Jewish dry cleaner? The Ramah says the minhag is not to, because it's a bizu mitzvah. Hatalis im hasitzis. But to take off the tzitzis, then that would be okay. It's dafka the talis with the tzitzis. So that's a good advert for Crispy Clean, for a Jewish dry cleaners. So to give it to him would certainly be okay. Lishkav Bohem, v'chein litzin lekovis en Yehudi, mi yesh machmir b'zeh sheyaseh kanal. And there are some those who say it's fine to give it to a non-Jewish laundry, and that would be okay. Yesh machmirin on that. Last halacha daled yesh lizohe k'shadam loivesh talis shlo yigro tzitzis. When you make sure when you're wearing a tzitzis, your talis, they shouldn't drag on the ground. Says the Mishnah Berurah, yesh mefarshim atam mishum bizu mitzvah. Easy because it's bizu mitzvah. It's a disgrace to the mitzvah. V'oid kikar shei poslu, because they could become possible. They'll snap or something. V'lochein yagbim v'yischavim b'chagura, and therefore you should pick them up, put them into your belt, so make sure they don't drag on the ground. Okay, we'll leave it there. Call to everyone. Have a good Shabbos.
What's on Monday?